Good afternoon. Welcome to Inside Indiana Sports Now with Kent Sterling. It's Friday, April 16th, 2021. We're brought to you, as always, by the great people at Today's Dentistry. Dr. Mike O'Neill, the best at what he does. You want a great set of teeth? You want great dental health? You get a great dentist. It's that easy. 317-849-2933 is the number. Tell them that Kent sent you. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe, hit like, ring the bell. Do all of that stuff. Let's go. Let's talk about sports. Here's the thing today. I want to ask you questions and have you answer them in the comments section. I'm going to ask the questions and I'm going to give you my perspective. All right. And these questions are generated by the comments that I've received from you as you ask me to defend myself in a variety of different ways, all right? That sounds a little more complicated than it's going to be, but that's what we're going to do. And the first question is this. We're going to talk about the Indianapolis Colts first. By the way, sportsbooks, they have assigned the over-under win total for the Colts at 10, which is atop all teams in the AFC South. I think they're going to be better than that, but it could all go bluey if Carson Wentz gets hurt. If Carson Wentz gets hurt, that 10 all of a sudden becomes 7. All right, here is the first question that I have for you. Why are you so reluctant to favor moving Quenton Nelson from left guard to left tackle? Every time I talk about this, the possibility of moving Quenton Nelson 3 feet to his left to play left tackle, people go bananas and they say, you've got one of the best guards, if not the best guard in the National Football League. Why would you take a superb guard and make him maybe an ordinary left tackle or a good left tackle? Here's why. Because you can go get a guard off the street. You can go to Walmart and get a guy who can play left guard in the NFL. You cannot do that with left tackle. Left tackles, you try to have in place for 10 years, just like the Colts did with Anthony Costanzo, just like they did with Tarek Glenn. You need an anchor at left tackle who you can reward. You can give that person a lot of money to play left tackle. If you have a great guard, all right, especially a great left guard, look at who's got the highest paid left guards in the National Football League. The Washington Football Team, they've got the highest paid guard. The Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's not the reason that all those teams suck. But you know what? It is a reason, because if you're paying a guard tackle money, that means that you're not paying somebody else. Hard cap in the NFL. It makes it different in the NFL. If you get your pay scale all cattywampus because you've got greatness at a position where you can tolerate mediocrity, you wind up being where the Colts might wind up, which is with a decision to make about Ryan Kelly. I don't want to make a decision about Ryan Kelly at the end of this current contract. I don't want to do that. You can't pay everybody on your offensive line top dollar. You pay the left tackle, you pay the right tackle, you pay the center. Why, all of you who are so disenchanted with the notion of moving Quenton Nelson from left guard to left tackle, why didn't anybody have a problem moving Braden Smith? Braden Smith was drafted to be a guard. He has tackle qualities. The Colts, they figured that out during his rookie camp, and they moved him early in the season out to right tackle. And he's been terrific at right tackle. If it's okay to do with Braden Smith, moving him to right tackle, why the hell can't you do it with Quenton Nelson? I don't understand. People will say, they'll say, well, you can't pull from the tackle position. Quenton Nelson's a great puller. We'd like to be able to have a pulling guard at that position, and Quenton Nelson's great at it. How about protecting the hell out of your quarterback, out of the backside of your quarterback? Do you think that Sam Tevy is the guy to do that? What if Quenton Nelson winds up being a top 10 left tackle in the NFL? You can go get a guy to play left guard, just like the Colts have gone out, nothing against Mark Lewinsky. They've got a guy playing right guard, right? They hired Mark Lewinsky off the street. They didn't draft him. You do that with guards. We saw it with Bill Polian. You do it all the time. You can swap out guards and you're going to be okay. But if you don't have anchors at left tackle and right tackle and center, you have a fundamental problem. And if you're paying a guard tackle money, like I said, That means you're not paying somebody else the money that they're due at their position. I don't understand the confusion where it comes in this. Look, all of this is based upon the supposition that Quenton Nelson is going to be a good left tackle if he moves out to left tackle. If he's not going to be a good left tackle, you leave the guard, right? But if he projects to being a top 10 left tackle, you have to move him out because you can't pay everybody top dollar. Now, there is a caveat to this. If you draft in the first round, and this is why the Colts might stay in the first round, not at 21, but trade back to maybe 29, 30, 31, or 32. Because with a first-round draft pick, you sign them for 4 years, and then you have an option with the 5th year. So at left tackle, if you use that pick to draft a left tackle and keep Quenton Nelson where he is, then you've got that left tackle under control at a very, very reasonable price for the next 4 years, and then at a mostly reasonable price for a 5th year. That allows you to move forward with Ryan Kelly at a number you can tolerate because you're not paying your left tackle a lot of money. So there are ways to do this. There are ways to solve this problem without sliding Quenton Nelson left 3 feet. All right? And that is what the Colts may choose to do. But I'm telling you things, if he can be a top 10 left tackle and you don't move him and you use a first-round draft pick on another left tackle, on a starting left tackle, you got the opportunity for cattywampus all over the place, chaos in terms of trying to meet all of your needs within the salary cap structure that exists in the NFL. And that's just the way it is. It'd be great to keep him at guard, but if you keep him at guard, hey, by the way, you know what? This bears mention that the other guard, who is among the highest 5 paid, plays for the Chiefs. And the Chiefs are pretty damn good. They figured it out. So it's possible to have a guy like Quenton Nelson play left guard and be paid a lot of money. That is entirely possible. You can do that. But I just don't understand why there's this resistance to moving Quenton Nelson as though it's the most preposterous idea that anybody's ever had. All right, question number 2. Why do IU fans, this me included, feel so good about Mike Woodson as a coach? He's 63 years old. He's never coached a college game in his life. The last time that he was tethered to a college basketball program is when he played for Indiana in 1980. So there are a lot of reasons to be suspicious about Mike Woodson as a leader of this program. But I include myself, and maybe you'll have some ideas about this that are different from mine, unique to mine. We think that this is the greatest hire in the history of hires. Much better than Archie Miller. Much better than Tom Crean. Much better, obviously, than Kelvin Sampson. Why do we feel that way? Is it just that, like the last 5 seasons, Indiana has sucked, and so any change is a good change and excites us at this point? Or is there something substantial about this, something quantifiable that we can point to and say, you know what, we feel good about this? Maybe that 3 of the 6 who entered, actually 4 of the 6, and then Joey Brunk was kind of a late addition, so 4 of the 7 who entered the transfer portal decided to step back and come back to Indiana. That's a reason for optimism. We're going to see if there's a reason for optimism as he goes out and tries to acquire players, their commitments in the transfer portal, and late signers who are a part of the class of 2021. You look at a guy like Xavier Johnson. He wants to come to Indiana because, in part, Kenya Hunter's got a terrific relationship with Xavier Johnson and his family. So they're bringing to bear those relationships. Kenya Hunter does a really nice job of continuing the relationship even after a player has declared someplace else and gone someplace else. Is it that? Is it that he's got NBA experience and that is going to be kind of a chip on the side of the scale that is toward IU because players are going to know that if they come to Indiana, Mike Woodson's going to prepare them for the league? Maybe. Is it that he just fits? That's a very subjective thing. We talked about it for a while yesterday while I was on the toilet thinking, because that's where I do my best thinking. Is it that we see Mike Woodson as a descendant of Bob Knight and a guy who's going to bring the band back together? All the IU guys coming back together as a family, all those alums being welcomed back at Cook Hall and Assembly Hall, and maybe share some of their intellectual bandwidth with Mike Woodson, with Dane Fife, with, Kenya Hunter, and with that roster that Mike Woodson's putting together. Is it that? I think it is. I think it's more subjective. For me, it's just fit. It just feels right. And that is meaningful. It is subjective. It's not an entry on a resume, but it is really, really important. Fit is critically important. How about this as a question, please? Like when I talk about the Pacers, I can see it in the YouTube analytics. I talk about the Pacers, viewership plummets, goes to the floor. The passion for Pacers basketball, I can't remember it being what it is. The Pacers, mediocre, right around 500, right on the edge of being in the playoffs. They've got likable guys. They don't have any charismatic guys. That's a problem, and that includes their coach, Nate Bjorkgren, not really charismatic. You don't need a charismatic coach. Frank Vogel wasn't charismatic. He was a good coach. That's fine. Larry Brown, not terribly charismatic either, for goodness sake. However, so why, or what do the Pacers have to do to re-engage you? Karis LeVert is shy, doesn't like dealing with the media. Malcolm Brogdon, really, really good talker, but his game isn't necessarily dynamic. We like Domantas Sabonis. We like the way he plays. A lot of double-doubles, a lot of triple-doubles. A guy, you can always see how he feels. We like TJ McConnell because he's kind of like us. Let's be honest about it. That's part of it. There's also the hustle, and there's also kind of he outwits as he moves through a basketball game, stealing inbounds passes, which is just beautiful. He does it like once a game. It's phenomenal. He is among the leaders, if not the leader, in steals in the NBA. So there are some likable people, but not maybe enough to really engage our fandom in the way that it was in the 90s and in the way that it was, frankly, in part of the 2000s. Granted, that comes with winning. A lot of wins, and all of a sudden I think we would be engaged. But what do you think that the Pacers need to do in order to access our engagement at the level that's necessary for us to look forward to a game like the one this afternoon against the Utah Jazz? You're going to sit down, you're going to watch that game, you're going to pay attention? Interesting question. What do the Pacers need to do to get you hooked so on a Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock you want to watch the Pacers and the Jazz? And last but not least, Slick Leonard. What made Slick Leonard the kind of guy that people here love? Nobody nationally knows who the hell Slick Leonard is, unless they're ABA historians. But people in Indy love Slick Leonard. Is it that he's one of them or one of us? Is it that he always treated people like they were more important than he was? Was it that Slick knew exactly how lucky he was in life? And we like that. So many people succeed, and then they act like they invented everything, that they've figured out the answer to life. Slick never did that. Slick always acted like he was the lead player in his life story, and he loved every single minute of it. And the people who came into his orbit felt like they were in the presence of a friend, always. Fascinating to me, and I love the piece that Bob Kravitz wrote in The Athletic and quoted Mark Boyle. And Mark Boyle said that Slick Leonard lived as the man he always wanted to be. That's interesting, as Mark Boyle always is. Is that why we love Slick Leonard? Why do you love Slick Leonard? Why did you love Slick Leonard? Do you know who Slick Leonard is? Do you know what he did? He saved Indianapolis from being a barren wasteland without Major League Sports, is what he did. Monday morning, Breakfast with Ken. I can't wait to talk to you then. Brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry. Call 317-849-2933, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a great weekend.